Alright, y'all, I got another video for y'all today. And this particular video is in regards to a question that was asked in the comments of my videos. And that is, does astral projection exist in traditions like Palo, Mayombe, Ifa, etc.? The answer to that question is simple. Yes, it does exist. Um, but it's not necessarily a taught technique. It's not something that people sit down and actually teach you to do. Um, and a lot of times, if a person, most of us naturally astral project when we go to sleep. Our spirits will travel um, when we go to sleep and visit different astral planes and so forth and so on, communicate with spirits, work on the spiritual plane, um, and what have you. But in essence, astral projection is the process in which the brain, the brain's neurotransmitters, secrete a particular chemical from the pineal gland known as dimethyltryptamine. And dimethyltryptamine is also known as DMT. So, what usually happens is when the body is uh, invigorated in such a way that uh, it begins to build up the neurotransmitters in the brain, such as it usually starts with L-tryptophan. L-tryptophan then turns into serotonin. Serotonin turns into, I believe, melatonin. Melatonin turns into pinoline. Pinoline turns into 5-MeO-DMT, and then 5-MeO-DMT turns into DMT, dimethyltryptamine, and then which they call the spirit molecule. And when the pineal gland secretes this particular molecule, what it does is it creates the condition for death. And it is actually this particular chemical, dimethyltryptamine, that is actually secreted from the pineal gland during death, which allows the spirit to separate from the body. But while the body is still in a functional state, we have the ability to increase the neurotransmitters in the brain to allow for dimethyltryptamine to secrete from the pineal gland. This is also exercised in mystical practices such as Kundalini yoga, even in Qigong and Neigong and things of that nature. The energy that is cultivated in the body is also transferred into the astral body, into the energy body, and so forth. And then that actually arouses the pineal gland to the point in which the pineal gland begins to secrete dimethyltryptamine. Dimethyltryptamine can be secreted from the pineal gland in levels. Sometimes you don't have to be in a relaxed sleep state in order for dimethyltryptamine to actually affect your consciousness and your awareness. You can actually have dimethyltryptamine dripping from the pineal gland throughout the day, which keeps you in a heightened awareness and it keeps you in a state of peace, tranquility, and so forth. So, astral projection itself has nothing to do with any particular one tradition. It don't have nothing to do with Palo per se, Ifa per se, even though that these traditions um, may have damn, they may have actual words to describe this actual phenomena, but from my experience and from those who I've communicated with and talked with, that it's not actually a technique where they actually teach you these things. These are things that you can develop on your own as an individual human being, and as as someone who ventures into the mystical arts and so forth. You can develop this on your own through practices like meditation, deep rhythmic breathing, meditation, and so forth, as well as ingesting certain foods and chemicals in the body that will actually allow your brain to start producing these neurotransmitters. One can experience astral projection. Um, and during this state, one is able to detach from the physical form. And this works well with traditions like Palo Mayombe, which deals with working with the realms of the dead, because any Palero or Tata or Yayi who has the ability to astral project can go beyond the realms of um, mere divination. it goes to the point where you no longer need to divine. You can just literally go into the realm where the ancestors of the dead exist and communicate with them face to face. Now, that might sound crazy to a lot of paleros. It might sound crazy to a lot of babalaos, um, who may not be more inclined to mystical knowledge. But this is a phenomenon, a natural phenomenon that happens with every human being. Um, Now, whether or not you are developed to the point where you can do this at will depends on your own aptitude in that particular skill uh, of, of mystical experience. But it is possible for any palero or any Ifa priest or anybody who's in any tradition, and they don't have to be in a tradition. I mean, people astral project all the time, and they're not a part of any tradition or anything like that, and they're able to, get information. They're able to experience certain things, reach certain levels of awareness, by being able to perceive outside of the physical form. And this is something that I actually encourage people to develop. If you have an affinity towards the mystical arts and you feel as though this is something that you um, would like to learn to develop, I mean, the proper research and practices are out there for you to be able to experiment and see what you can develop for yourself. And it can be very helpful in your practice as a palero. It can be very helpful in your practice as a babalawo. It can be very helpful in your practice as a Orisha priest or a Mambo or a Hungan or anybody who works in the occult. They would be able to benefit from the skill of astral projection. Astral projection in itself is very different from mental wandering. Now, mental wandering is when we have the ability to project our mind to a particular place, okay, or a particular time. Whereas astral projection, astral deals with the astral, okay, the causal plane. So at this point, what we're talking about is actually moving the soul, that is the actual energy body, from the physical form. And by doing so, we're able to carry with it the mental body or the mind, and therefore function on the astral plane. So astral projection and mental wandering are two different things. You can perceive yourself outside of the physical body, what they call out of body experiences or OBEs. But OBE or out of body experience might not necessarily be an astral projection. When a person astral projects, it appears as if they are not, as if they're dead. It appears as if their heart's not beating, their body appears to be in a complete a moment of stasis in which they are in a comatose, appears to be like a comatose state. Whereas if a person is in a deep meditation and their mind is traveling and their mind is going to different places and so forth like that, they will still appear to be alive. You'll still see them breathing, you'll still see their heartbeat and so forth, feel the heartbeat and so forth. But astral projection is actually removing the astral energy or the energy body from the physical body and being able to detach it in such a way that you're able to carry the mind with it and function on the astral plane as if you were in the physical body. So I encourage people to research, do whatever it is that you need to do, your own due diligence, experiment with techniques, and see what you can come up with for yourself. I hope that the video that I just made was pretty helpful. If you want more information about astral projection, I definitely encourage you to Google it. And then also, if you want to find out more about your spiritual destiny and your spiritual alignment, definitely click the link in the video here and book a session with me today. Peace.